noticed a single red ribbon tied to our front gate every time I returned from a long trip. When I finally asked my neighbor about it, the truth completely changed how I see my home. I travel constantly for work, often spending weeks at a time in different cities and sleeping in nameless hotels. Every time I pull into my driveway after a long stint away, I notice a small, silk red ribbon tied neatly to the latch of my front gate. I live in a quiet neighborhood where people mostly keep to themselves, so I originally assumed it was some kind of marking for a delivery service or a local surveyor. But as the months went by, the ribbons stayed. Sometimes they were faded by the sun, and sometimes they were brand new, but they were always there. I started to feel a growing sense of suspense. Was someone tracking my schedule? Was my house being marked as an empty target because I traveled so much? I began to feel uneasy in my own home. I checked the windows twice and find myself staring at the gate from my living room, wondering whose hands had tied that knot. The mystery started to feel like a weight. I felt like a stranger was watching my life from the shadows, knowing exactly when I left and when I returned. I didn't want to call the police over a piece of string, but the silence of the gesture was starting to feel loud. I felt a strange distance from my neighbors, wondering if one of them was hiding a motive I couldn't understand. The suspense was making me dread coming home, turning my sanctuary into a place of questions. Yesterday morning, I saw my neighbor, an elderly man named Mr. Bennett, trimming his hedges near the gate. I decided to finally end the mystery. I walked over, pointed to the ribbon, and asked him if he knew who was putting them there. Mr. Bennett stopped working, his eyes softening as he looked at the gate. He didn't look like someone with a dark secret. He looked like someone who had been holding on to a very old memory. He told me that 50 years ago, his brother had been a sailor who was often away for years at a time. Their mother used to tie a ribbon to the gate every time he left, a silent promise that the light was still on and someone was waiting for his return. The real secret was that Mr. Bennett noticed how often I arrived home late at night to a dark house with no one at the door to greet me. He didn't want me to feel like I was just returning to an empty building. He wanted me to know that someone in the world was keeping track of my safety and celebrating my return. I realized then that I wasn't being targeted. I was being watched over. The ribbon wasn't a warning. It was a welcome home. For the first time in years, I didn't just feel like a traveler. I felt like I truly belonged.